Hi everybody and welcome to this week's homework video. And the first thing I want to say is I do apologize for the delay in uploading this video. I hope it hasn't caused too much inconvenience. All right, so let's first start off talking about the verbal reasoning that we have looked at this week. Now, the verbal reasoning that we've looked at this week is a very common type of verbal reasoning, okay? Very, very common. So it wasn't a surprise that many of you had seen this type of verbal reasoning before. We have done it before as well, a very long time ago. But this week, it was all about speed and technique, okay? So what I'm going to do is show you some questions, and they're called make a word questions. And what I want you to do is I don't want you to use any other technique than the technique that I show you. Now, there's a reason for this. If you've got a different technique to me, that's great. And if it works for you, that's brilliant. But if you look at my technique, then you could have two different methods of solving the same question. And that sometimes can be very important because one method might work better for a certain question and the other method might work better for another question. Okay, so get used to using this technique that I'm going to show you this week. Okay, so on the screen, we have got some words. We have got one set of words on the left-hand side and another set of words on the right-hand side, okay? So what it's asking us to do is figure out what word belongs into this blank space here, right? And the way we do that is if we look over here, we can see that we've got the word shop written in between two words. So we've got shun, shop, and dope, okay? And on the right-hand side, we've got lime, blank, and aced. Now, once we've understood why the word shop is written here, that gives us all of the clues we need to figure out which word we need to put there. All right. Now, if you've never seen this before, something you might notice is that the letters from shop, so S, H, O, and P, all appear in these words on the outside, shun and dope. Okay. So what we need to do is figure out which letters were chosen. So if we look, we've got the S, which is here. We've got an H, which is here. We've got an O, which is here. And we've got a P, which is here. So what I like to do is I like to number each letter, okay? So we give S number 1 and H number 2, U number 3, and N number 4. Then we don't number the mystery word. We just go on to the next word and we number those letters as well. So we've got D, which is 5, O, which is 6, P, which is 7, and E, which is 8. And now I have a bit more information about the letters that were chosen. For example, S was taken, which is number 1. So I'm going to put number 1 down here. And then H is number 2. And then we've got O, which is number 6. And P, which is number 7. So our rule is 1, 2, 6, and 7. We need to use the same rule and apply it to the next set of words. 1, 2, 6, 7. Okay. So we don't really have to number these, do we? We can just count. All right. So we're looking for the first letter out of lime and aced. The first letter, number 1, is L. Let's write that here. And then we've got the second letter. So 1, 2, which is I. And then we've got the 6th letter. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which is C. And then we've got the 7th letter. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, which is E. And we've got a word lice. And because we know that lice is a real word, it's a valid word, we know that we've gone right. This is correct, okay? The answer is lice. Now, like I said at the beginning, the reason that I want you to try my technique, even if you think you have another one, is because there are certain types of this question that are more difficult than others. And that's where having this technique is a lot more suitable than other methods that you might know of, okay? I'm going to show you what I mean. Let's look at another example. If we look at this example here, we can see that this is going to cause us problems because let's first consider the letters that are involved in the secret word. We've got V, A, S, and E. So with A and E, can you see that if we were to number these words on the outside, well, we've got A, which appears twice, and we've got E, which appears twice. That's going to cause us some issues because we don't know which one to select. For example, E appears in the second position and the ninth position. So do we use the second position or the ninth position when finding this secret word? So let me show you the best way to approach this, okay? So we've got the word vase. Let's start with the letter V. Don't worry about numbering them. If you want, obviously, if you want to number them, please do if it helps you. But you can just count, okay? So for example, we're starting off with V. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. V is the 8th letter. So we're going to write that down here. And then we've got A. 1, 2, 3. A is the 3rd letter, but 4, 5, 6, 7 is also the 7th letter. So we've got 3rd and 7th. So what I'm going to do now is in the second position, I'm going to write 3 and 7 both together. And the reason I'm putting them together is to show me later on that either of them could be in the second position. We don't know which one just yet. And then we've got the letter S. There's only one S between least and have, and it's in the 4th position. So I know for sure that's number 4. And then finally, we've got the letter E, which is in either the second position or the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 8th, 9th position. So it's either in second position or 9th position. And there we have it. We have our rule, but our rule is a lot trickier than the last rule, isn't it? Because we've got 2 uncertain letters. So this is what we do. Firstly, we're going to figure out the first letter of this mystery word by counting number 8 between delta and left. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We land on F. So F is our first letter. Then we've got our second letter is either 3 or 7. So leave it. Do not do that one just yet. I'm going to tell you why in a second, okay? I'm going to put a little space here and move on to the third letter, which is number 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. We've got a T. And then finally, for the 4th letter, it's either number 2 or number 9. And we're going to leave it because we're not sure. Now, at this stage, we've got F something, T something. We know this is true. So what we can do at the moment is look at our multiple choice options, our answers, and look for any option that has F something, T something. If there are any options that have that, keep them. If there are any options that don't have those 2 letters in those positions, we can get rid of them, okay? But of course, we want to figure out for sure what the answer is. So let's move on. Now, let's go to the second position. We've got 3 or 7. Now, what is in the 3rd and 7th position? Let's count them. 1, 2, 3. We've got L and 4, 5. Let's jump to that again. I do apologize. 1, 2, 3. So it's either an L or it's 4, 5, 6, 7, which is an E. So it's either an L or an E. Now, think about what we've got so far. We've got F something T. Let's put an L in between them. FLT. We can't even pronounce that. FLT. We know that the answer isn't going to be L. There is not going to be an L there because FLT never is the start of any word. FLT doesn't even sound like it will be correct. Okay, so we're going to go for the other option, which is E. It must be E because we can think of some words that begin with FET. It looks a lot better. It sounds a lot better. Let's make sure we keep FET. At this point, look at your multiple choice options. And if you see any options that have FET, you know you can keep those. If you see any other options, you can get rid of them. But let's figure out the actual answer. So we're left with 2 and 9 for the 4th position, which is either an E or a T. This is where things get a bit tricky because we know the last letter is an E or a T. Let's put an E there first. Now, the word here says fate. F-E-T-E, fate. It doesn't look like it says fate, but it does. Yeah, it's a word called fate, like a fair. So this is the correct answer. However, there are many students who would look at a word like this and wouldn't know that that's what it says. They might think it says fetty, for example, which isn't a word. And then they might not pick that one. They might go for the next option, which would be 2 seconds. FETT, which is fet. And the problem here is if we're deciding between what could be perceived as fetty and fet, we'd have a hard time picking between them, because for some students, none of these options look like proper words. And this is why having a good vocabulary is very important, because if you have a very wide vocabulary, you probably recognize this word as being a real, genuine word, fate. So this is the answer. Now, if you didn't know that this was a word, F-E-T-E, it might be the case that you did enough to eliminate all of the wrong options anyway. Okay. Having said that, this question illustrates why it's so important to have a good vocabulary, because there will be many questions where you're left with options and they might not seem like real words, but they are. Okay. So our vocabulary is very, very, very important. But the most important thing about this activity that we've looked at today is the technique. Please do use the technique that we've spoken about and that I've showed you, because especially with questions like this, where we have the same letter in multiple places, it's much easier than trying to do it all in our head. Okay, so on the screen, we have got some more of those questions, okay? Now, as you go through this, please, even if you think that any method that you may have, that you've been taught in the past or that you have all by yourself, please, it's great that you have those methods, but keep them to the side just for this lesson, okay? And please use a method that I've shown you. Even if you think you know what the answer is without using a method, please use it, because as the questions become more difficult, that is definitely the best method to use, okay? Now, when you have a go at doing these questions, if any of the answers produce words that are not real words, it means something's gone wrong. It means you haven't done it correctly and you need to do it again. Okay, so please do that, because we want to get used to this. We want to be making sure that we get this correct, because it's a very common type of verbal reasoning. If you get an answer and you're not sure if it's a real word, grab a dictionary, ask your parent, ask an older sibling, use the internet, use Google with permission from your parents, and check to see if it's a real word. And if it is, great. And if it's not, do it again, okay? But one thing I would absolutely really, really, really appreciate this week is that you make sure you know how to do this, and you make sure you know how to do this quite quickly as well, yeah? Because they're very, very, very common exam questions, and I need you to be great at this. All right, thank you very much for watching, guys. Now, I'm very sorry about the delay. I do apologize. Just before I finish this video, I just want to remind you of a couple of things. So firstly, everyone should have a Euro 2024 team in the sweepstake. And if you don't, maybe ask your parents to message me so I can sort that out. Because the Euros are starting next week, and it'd be great if we could all, although we're all probably getting behind England, which is absolutely amazing, please do. It would be great to also have another team on the side, so that if the worst case scenario, England do get eliminated, then at least there's another team that can win you a prize. But also, don't forget that next weekend we have our raffle where every single one of you is going to win a prize. But of course, the first and second place prize students win one of these. Actually really nice. I really do like them. I do see the appeal. One of these Stanley Cups. So it's 2 of those up for grabs, and also third place wins McDonald's for their entire group. Okay, so that raffle is next weekend. Yeah. All right. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Give this a go. If you do find it too difficult, please do let me know when I next see you. Ask an adult to help you. Have a nice weekend. Bye, guys.